and welcome to Firearm Freedom. You're about to watch another episode of Gun Floor Questions. In this episode of Gun Floor Questions, we're going to talk about carrying with a round chambered or not chambered. Which one do I prefer? I'm just going to tell you straight up immediately what my response is to that is that I wouldn't even carry a gun unless it was chambered. Without just making a 2-second video just saying that's my reason, I'm going to explain to you a little bit why. One of the first points why I would never recommend carrying a gun without a round chambered would be that you don't have enough time to rack the slide. Time is generally something that's precious in any type of self-defense situation. We can see time and time again via statistics that it's only a couple seconds. Now, realistically, in all these situations, generally you're only going to have a couple of seconds. So you really are not going to have enough time to pull that slide back and get around in the chamber. Second issue, and this is going to be a big one, is having both of your hands free to even rack that slide. Now I'm going to demonstrate this in a couple of kind of footage that I'm going to be rolling in while I'm talking. This can be done, don't get me wrong, it can be done with one hand, and you'll see me do that and demonstrate that by racking my Glock 26 on my belt a couple of times, and that will be standing and also sitting down. And I'll also do a couple of little demonstrations there, just showing you just two-handed racking, and if it's faster to just draw from appendix without doing that. Having both your hands free is a huge deal, which rarely ever happens. Your first instinct, which I see a lot, if somebody were to go and punch you in the face, your general first instinct that you should have is to put your hands up, right, to block whatever's coming at you. And this kind of is the exact same thing if somebody's attacking you and you're reaching for your gun. The first instinct you kind of want to do is just get them away with this hand. And this can be seen in so many videos where people are trying to defend themselves using this hand to either grab the other person's head, defend themselves, hit the other person, and you can see them getting out and then moving back to try to rack it and not having enough time. And they'll do this multiple times. I've seen 3 videos of this. You can see it time and time again. They don't have enough time and they don't have both their hands available to rack that slide. Another point about having both your hands available, it's very easy to not rack it fully if you're in a very stressed situation and you're trying to do multiple things. It's very easy not to rack the slide fully, not rack the slide properly and have a round malfunction. Just not a good idea. So moving on to the third point here is going to be people don't think it's safe to carry with a round chambered. Here's the deal, guys. I get people coming in every day talking about this topic, and then they'll say, well, it's not safe to carry a round in the chamber. The gun could always go off. Here's the deal, and I'm going to try to say this without moving on to our fourth and final point. You should never have an issue, and here's why. You should never have what I call a negligent discharge. I don't really think there's too much of a thing of an accidental discharge, because more than likely, if you have a discharge, you're doing something negligent. If you're following the commandments, the safety commandments of firearms, you should never have an issue. Worst thing that I see in a gun store is somebody asking to look at a gun, and we're going to obviously make sure the magazine is hot because this is my own defense gun, but we are obviously clear in the chamber here. But the first thing that they want to do is grab the gun, finger on the trigger, and say, hey, I want to take a look at this. Hey, can I check this gun out here? Oh, that's a great sight picture. That is probably the worst habit I've ever seen in my life. And people like that are going to be the ones that have an accident, right? Those are going to be the ones that have a negligent discharge. Those are going to be the ones that it really is unsafe to even carry a gun at all. What I always recommend to customers for a defensive handgun is before you ever rack around in that chamber, because no matter how great that handgun is, and you've heard me mention it, and actually the review of the VP9, the little first impression, is there can always be one bad one in the batch that has an issue, that you rack that slide and for some obscene reason the firing pin drops or whatever. And always where I'm going with this is take that gun before you rack around in the chamber and fire 200 rounds downrange first, in a safe area, at a range, and just make sure that everything in the gun is functioning properly. If you have any extreme malfunctions that aren't caused by you, that are caused by the gun, if anything's very odd, if it's having hang fires, slam fires, obviously there's something wrong with the gun and it needs to be shipped back to the factory. Moving on to our fourth and final point, and this kind of comes across everything else. Are you competent enough to carry with a round chambered? If you're not competent enough, if you're not advanced enough, I'm not even going to say advanced because this is something that you should already know, but if you're not advanced enough, you shouldn't even be carrying, period. You should get these skills down, you should get these commandments of safety down before you even think about carrying. That is kind of the end of it. Now, to sum everything up again, 1, you will not have enough time to rack the slide. 2, you probably will not have both your hands to rack the slide. 3, it is an absolute myth that it's not safe to carry with a round chambered if you follow the steps that I mentioned earlier. And 4, are you competent enough to even have a concealed carry firearm in general? And that's going to be kind of to sum it up. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I'm enjoying these videos so much. It's very fun for me to do. I love answering questions. These are questions that I answer all the time at my job. So it's really nice to get another platform to answer them on as well. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the next one coming soon.